Precious. Hello friends, good morning. My name is Precious and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to do a very realistic and edited vlog. It will be just watch me code for an hour. We are just going to code for an hour and then that's it. I just want you to see the realistic view or my POV of like what it's like doing or what it's like coding for an hour. So right now I'm just like checking my emails, reading my messages, and then also getting ready and opening all the resources I need to start coding. And my dog is barking so loudly, so oh, thank you. So when everything's ready, I'll be back and we'll start coding for an hour non-stop and unedited. See ya. Hello friends, I am ready to start coding right now and I hope you are too. So let's see. Right now it's 7:17, so we will end this at 8:17. So this will be an hour straight of just coding and I hope my camera will work. So let's start. So I have a quota to reach, a number of charts to reach at the end of the day. So I have a lot of small charts and I have a lot of big charts. So I'll start with a few small charts and then work on one large chart or mix them up. So let's start coding. So you will just be listening to me while, just listening me yapping, rambling of what's going on in my mind while coding. So disclaimer, in every video that you see, I might be in different projects, I'm in different clients, so that means there are guidelines that I follow each time. So now I'm from the previous one upload that I had, I'm currently still working on the same project. So yeah, there are like fewer number of codes to be reported right there, but okay. So the names and the date of birth are all matched right now. Let's see. Yes, it is recording. So let's go. So the parents has psoriasis, neuropathy, and hypertension. So far, these three conditions does not risk adjust to my current project. So those three conditions are not reportable, but I have to make sure that I have read all parts of this chart. There are conditions such as psoriatic arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis here, but they are like to be ruled out, or they're like suspicious. I mean, there are suspicious conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis. So those conditions are not to be reported as well. So I don't see any. Let's move on to the next encounter. It's the same: psoriasis, cholesterol, blood pressure, neuropathy, and yeah, there are really no reportable conditions on the second encounter of this chart, but I will have to double check. Let's check the surgical history if there are like amputations or some other stuff. Transplant code. Okay, there's nothing there. Let's move on to the third encounter. On this third encounter, I can see that there is mild persistent asthma, and mild persistent asthma is J4530. So I only see one. Hypertension, neuropathy, psoriasis. Those are not reportable. Okay, we have one condition there. We're on our last encounter. So sleep apnea, obesity, psoriasis, hypertension, neuropathy. There are really no reportable conditions, but let us double check. All right, there are no other conditions, so we are done with our first chart. Let's move on to the next chart. Let's make sure that the date of birth and the patient's name are like matched. All right, let's start coding. All right, so the patient has chronic myelocytic leukemia, and she's undergoing currently a treatment, so we can code that. She is tolerating the treatment quite well. She is in remission. Yes, so there's only one condition that the patient is here for, and that is the leukemia. But let's continue reading. So let's code this. Let's index this. CML. Chronic myelocytic leukemia is C9290. Thank you. Can I have this only?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's have our coffee. C9290. Let's see if that's right. It's myelocytic. Okay, so let's start with leukemia, myelocytic, chronic. It is in remission, so that is C9211. Thank you. We have our breakfast, we have our toast, and we have our iced coffee. CML. So I think the code for CML in remission is C9211, chronic myeloid leukemia in remission, that actually risk adjust. Okay, so there's only one condition to be reported right here, and the patient is actually in remission. So yep, we can report that one. Okay, now we are on our next one. Day match. Okay, let's start. So let's see. Let's go first to the assessment. So the first thing that I can see in the assessment is the patient has diabetes and the patient is not on insulin. So that is E11.9. So let's go back to the very top part of the chart. What else? The patient has, let's see, there is an asthma that is reportable, but I have to make sure that there is a medication to support it. I only see one other condition, that is the asthma. Is there a medication? Yes, there is. Is the medication reviewed? We'll see. The medication is not reviewed, so there is still a medication, so there is a support. So in this encounter, the patient has two conditions to be reported. That is diabetes in the assessment and asthma from the problem list. Let's double check while we are still in the same page. Okay, now let's move on to the next encounter. Okay, let's go to the assessment first. I can see that there is a medication, so we will go back there when we need medications to support conditions. Okay, so in the assessment, there is nothing to be reported because those are just like pain codes. So those are not reportable for this project. Okay. Now, for the medical history, there is asthma and there is diabetes. Those two, and there are other conditions here. There is psoriasis, but it is scalp. So let's just make sure if that risk adjusts. Actually, not. Okay. So let's look for support for diabetes and asthma. My fear right now is when my husband will get a call. So I have to stop this 1 hour coding, but we will resume later. I hope he will not get any calls. Okay, so there is a support for asthma. There is albuterol. And let's find a support for diabetes. There is metformin, so we can report diabetes. The medications are not reviewed, but there are still medications to support the condition, so we can still report that one. And that's it. Let's move on to the next encounter. There is diabetes and asthma again, but they are in the problem medical history, so we have to make sure that there is like medication to support them. There are medications right here. That's good. Okay. Asthma and diabetes are to be reported once again. There's something in my teeth. It's not my fault, okay? I am eating my breakfast. Okay. We have diabetes. We have hypertension, hyperlipidemia. Those do not risk adjust. And there's polyneuropathy. So we can actually combo code polyneuropathy and diabetes. So that will become E1142. And there is no insulin to add to this code, but I can see that there is asthma. So let's just see if there is a medication to support that. There is albuterol, so we can code J45909. Okay, let's move on to the next encounter. So far, we have like 4 encounters for this chart. And we are done with that chart. Are we? Let's see. Okay, we are done with this chart and let's move on to the next one. Okay, they match. Let's start coding. Do we have a... Do we have a signature? We actually don't. Okay. Let's double check that. So for the past medical history, I don't see any conditions to be reported right there. In the surgical history, there are non-reportable history there. Let's see. I can see, I see metformin, so there must be diabetes somewhere, but let's see. Yes, so in the assessment, there is diabetes with hyperglycemia, that is E1165, and there is no diabetes or insulin medication. So for this encounter, let's double check and make sure we are reporting all conditions that are reportable. So far, it's just diabetes with hyperglycemia. Okay, let's move on to the next encounter. Okay, let's go directly to the assessment. In the assessment, there's nothing to be reported. No. It's just anxiety unspecified and depression unspecified, which do not risk adjust. So there's no reportable condition right there. And we can, let's double check. We always have to make double, triple check just to make sure that we are reporting all conditions needed to be reported. Okay, there's nothing. Let's move on to the next encounter. So far, I don't see anything. We'll double check. I can only see anxiety and stress, which do not risk adjust. But let's make sure that we're not missing any conditions. Okay, there is diabetes. You can report that. And there is medication for it, which is the metformin. There's hyperlipidemia and hypothyroidism, which those two do not risk adjust. Okay, we report that. Let's go back to the second chart, or the second encounter, just to make sure we did not miss diabetes there. Yes, there is none. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is the fourth encounter for this chart. Okay, let's go to the assessment. In the assessment, there is diabetes with hyperglycemia, E1165. There is hypothyroidism, which do not risk adjust. There is hyperlipidemia, which do not risk adjust as well. Obesity does not risk adjust. There is adjustment disorder with anxious mood. Let's see that. Disorder, adjustment with anxiety. Excuse me. Bless me. There is a code for that, but does not risk adjust. So I can only code E1165, but we have to go back from the top and see that we're not missing. Okay, friend, we already have to continue. I have to charge my camera. I have to plug it in. But that doesn't mean that I have to stop coding. So I have already finished the other chart. So I have completed that and submitted that. Now we are in a new chart. Excuse me. Again, I'm sorry because this is unedited, realistic coding thing. So I will burp, I will sneeze, I will just be doing things that are like this. Okay, so let's continue coding. We have COPD here. Let's report that. J44.9. So we have it is 7:45. So we will be done at 8:15. So let's continue. The name and the birth date are now match. And there is COPD. Let's continue reading. So far, there is only COPD. There is a list of medication here, but I don't see other conditions. All right, we have COPD, and that is J44.9, but I want to double check so I don't miss anything. All right, there you go. There's only one condition, and we can report that. Okay. Are we sure? When I had a review with my supervisor, she told me that most of my mistakes are from if it's like most of the coders, or maybe just for me, most of my mistakes are from the small charts because I rush through it and I don't see other conditions. So I have to make sure that I am doing better on smaller charts and make sure that all of the reportable conditions that are in the encounter should be coded. So I double, triple check smaller charts now more than ever. Okay, so that's it. We only have J44.9. All right, let's see. Okay, name and date of birth matched. Okay, so let's go right here. Let's start coding. So the patient has asthma and diabetes, hypertension, and heart failure, but they're all like patient reportable conditions. So we do not report patient reported conditions because they can say whatever they have, but we have to make sure that those conditions are documented or reported by the physicians and not by the patients, or they have to be double check or confirmed. That's the word, confirmed by the provider. So the patient right here has hypertension. That's from the provider. We can report that if we can combo code it to the heart failure. So far, I'm just looking for a heart failure medication. If there is, we can combo code. But if it's just hypertension, I cannot, because in this project, hypertension is not non-reportable. Okay, but there is asthma. So we can report J45909. Excuse me again, I'm so sorry. Thank you, love. Okay, so far we have, it is confirmed that the patient, stated by the provider, that the patient has diabetes and the patient has heart failure as well. So we can combo code heart failure and diabetes and hypertension. So hypertension with heart failure is I11.0 and heart failure unspecified is I50.9. So there are four conditions right here: asthma, diabetes, heart failure, and hypertensive heart disease with heart failure. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's go back to that just to make sure that I am coding the heart failure correctly. Okay, so yes, there are four conditions and we can report that. Do we have other? Yeah. All right. I think it's time to look for big charts, larger than usual charts. Let's go this one. So we only have like 15 minutes, 18 minutes left. Okay, there we go. Let's go this a little bigger chart. Thank you so much anyway, while my chart is loading. Thank you so much for all your comments and likes on my recent upload about answering your questions. If you have other questions that you want me to answer, please just leave them in the comment and I will do the same. I'll be coding, and while doing that, I'll be also answering your questions, and my chart is now loaded. It's now open and let's start coding. All right. The name and the date of birth. Yep, they match. Let's start coding. I believe I only have 15 minutes, almost a little bit over 15 minutes left. So I think this will be the final chart that we are going to, that will be recorded. Okay, the patient has allergic reactions to cats, cockroaches, of course, cockroach. Okay. Let's do, the patient has mild intermittent asthma, that is G4520. The patient has old heart attack, so that cannot be reported. And this is an office visit. Okay, we have asthma, heart failure. Okay, heart failure is I50.30 because this diastolic heart failure. So for specificity, the diastolic heart failure is I50.30. Let's make sure if there is also hypertension so we can combo code them. There is morbid obesity. Nope, there's nothing else. So asthma and heart failure. Okay, we can report two conditions. Let's move on. Okay, so in this encounter, there is an operative note, and the diagnosis or the finding was heart attack and STEMI, so non-ST elevation myocardial infection. So that is actually I-21.4, and we can report that. Baba, are you okay? What's wrong? You want water? You have your water in the bowl. You're fine. Okay, let's move on to the next encounter. Okay, we have it's still in, what do you call that? This is still inpatient, so we can code heart failure right here. I-21.4. Diabetes, E11.9. CKD, so diabetes and CKD, that is E1122. Hypertension, asthma, there is J45909. I don't see a heart failure, so I cannot combo code hypertension and heart failure, but there is CKD. CKD unspecified and hypertension will have a code of I-12.9. I-12.9 in this project does not risk adjust, so I cannot code that. I cannot report that. We'll just make sure that we are not missing the heart failure if there is. Okay, so there is heart attack, diabetes with CKD, and asthma. Let's go back to make sure we're not missing that heart failure. Okay. Yep, there's no heart failure right here. Okay, let's move on to the next encounter. Okay, again, heart attack, I-21.4. There is diabetes with CKD, 11.22, and there is asthma, J45. Excuse me, 909. I don't see heart failure. And actually, there is insulin, so Z79.4. And there is a specification for asthma, which is J4520, and it's 8 a.m. It's time for my medicine. Two, 4, 6, 7. So I have 7 pills right here. Excuse me. Excuse me. So if you are new here, if you are new to my channel, I am post-kidney transplant patient, almost 5 years. Is it 5 years? I had 2019, 2022, 3, 4. Almost 6 years? Yeah, almost 6 years of post-transplant. And then having a job or working from home and being what do you call that? working from home is a blessing if you have immunocompromised, if you are immunocompromised like me. So I'm so happy for this job that I can still work from home while taking care of myself. All right, so there are a lot of other conditions right here actually. There is seizure that we can report, but I don't see heart failure. So let's go back to the medication if there is gabapentin or other medication that can support seizures, so we can report it. But if there's none, then we don't have to. Excuse me, there is none, so we don't need to code seizure. And I don't see heart failure as well. But we have a specified code for the asthma, which is J45.20. So there are 4 codes right here: heart attack, mild intermittent asthma, diabetes with CKD, and long-term use of insulin. Okay, we can move on to the next encounter. I hope we can finish this chart because it's 8:02 right now and we only have until 8:17, right? 3:26. Okay, the patient has heart attack, I-21.4. The patient has diabetes with CKD, E11.22. The patient has J45909 asthma. And the patient is insulin dependent, that is Z79.4, and there is actually insulin right there. Okay. Yes, there are again 4 conditions. Let's move on. I hope we can make it. Let's go to the assessment. Okay, in the assessment, there is NSTEMI, heart attack, I-21.4. There is insulin-dependent diabetes, E11.9. There is history of asthma. Let's make sure that there is a medication here to support asthma. Okay, medication is reviewed. Let's go back if there is a medication list. Do we have a medication list here? Yes, we do. So there is asthma, J45909. Do we have a specificity for asthma? Do we have a specified code? Yes, mild intermittent asthma, J4520. I don't see a heart failure, but there is hypertension, so that's fine. We don't have to code it if there's nothing there. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So let's see. There is a medication list and there is also a list of medical history. So we have mild intermittent asthma, J4520. We have diabetes, E11.9. Do you have anything else? There's only two. There is seizure, but we have to make sure that there is a seizure medication. Let's see. And yes, there is insulin. I don't see seizure medication, so we don't have to report that one. Let's make sure that I'm not missing a reviewed statement for medication. Okay. All right, we have 3 conditions to report. Let's continue. Oh, I think we're done with this chart. Oh no, not yet. I jinxed it. Okay, but we are almost done, hopefully before the time. We only have 10 minutes left for an hour code with me thing. Okay, so what do we have here? Diabetes. We have a diabetes. We have mild intermittent asthma. There is a medication to support. Let's just find a reviewed statement for the medication. There is CKD. Okay, so we have diabetes with CKD, E1122 and J4520 for asthma, and then long-term use of insulin, this is Z79.4. Yes, that's right. Seizure. There's no medication for seizure. All right, that's done. Do we have other things? Okay, we have one more. We have mild intermittent asthma and diabetes right here. We just need medications to support, which is right available here. Okay. Okay, so we can report diabetes E11.9, asthma J45.20, which is the mild intermittent asthma, and long-term use of insulin, which is Z79.4. That is the garbage truck. Okay. Yep, those are the conditions. Nothing else. Oh my gosh, we only have 5 minutes left and I am self-coding this. Let's see. Ah, wrong. Okay. In this encounter, there is non-reportable condition. But we can actually code the insulin, Z79.4. Okay, let's continue. Yay, we are done. We have 4 minutes left. But I have to make sure, I have to go back to the last encounter just to make sure that I am coding this insulin correctly. I'm placing it at the right place. The right placement? What do you call that? Okay. Alrighty. We are done with this chart, and we only actually have 5 minutes left. We are going to be done at 8:17, right? It's 8:12 right now. So I still have 5 minutes. And yesterday I was working on a huge chart, which is actually 2,000 pager chart, and I can work for 30 minutes on this huge chart, and then I'll have to go back, like pivot to smaller charts, medium charts, and then come back to this until I finish this one, because this is a huge chart. So this is 2,000 pager chart, and yesterday I was able to only reach page 92. So we'll continue until we're done with our time. Okay, let's go here. Oh, I made it to page 104, so that's good. So this is a Cancer chart. The patient has metastatic lung cancer. So lung cancer unspecified is actually C3490, if I'm right. And it metastasized somewhere, but it was not specified where. So I can guess I can say that it goes to, because this is the lung, and maybe the lymph nodes that it metastasized to is into the intra-abdominal lymph nodes or into the intrathoracic lymph nodes. So I am leaning more into the intrathoracic than the intra-abdominal. So I'll go for C77.1 for that, and C34.90 for the primary cancer. Oh my gosh, we are on 2 minutes left, but that's okay. We have already finished quite a few number of charts, but I am in an hour, so that's good. Let's just work 30 minutes on this one, and then pivot to other parts or other charts. Okay, we have COPD, J with exacerbation, J44.1. We have adenocarcinoma of lung, stage 4 right, so that is C34.91. And it metastasized somewhere, but it was not specified as to where, so I will put it into intrathoracic nodes, C77.1. The patient also has chronic respiratory failure with hypoxia, that is J9611. Let's see. Yep. And also acute hypoxic respiratory failure. So we can say acute on chronic respiratory failure with hypoxia, so that is J96.21. Oh my gosh, our time is up. It's officially, let me, it's officially, can you see it? It's officially 8:17 and it's time. Our code with me for an hour is done. So thank you so much guys for watching and for staying. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer for the next vlog, please let me know in the comments section and I will be able to do that next time. Thank you so much for watching. And now you can see, and now you see what it's like working from home, coding from home, and how my brain works or how my brain works when I'm coding, you know. Is that it?
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my husband says it's right. So thank you so much. And now I'm going back to coding this huge chart. I'll see you next time. Bye.